KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more, Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.
Good morning, I'm Debbie Cruz. It's Wednesday, February 5th. Attorney General Rob Bonta reaffirms California schools as safe spaces for all. More on that next. But first, let's do the headlines. Following a survey released last month on the sewage pollution crisis, county leaders met yesterday to discuss the findings. The CDC conducted the survey for 3 days in October. They found that nearly 70% of people interviewed in San Isidro, Nestor, and Imperial Beach reported a health symptom they believe was caused by polluted water and air near the Tijuana River Valley. Dr. Ankita Kadakia is the county's interim public health officer.
Really hoping, as we've met with local, state, and federal elected officials, to continue the advocacy to get the funding needed to fix that, the ongoing sewage infrastructure issues.
She says so far the county has been testing water quality and communicating with residents about resources available to them. Kadakia said that despite federal health agencies not being able to communicate under the federal communications freeze, the county intends to continue work happening at the local and state levels. They're also looking into conducting a follow-up survey. Fire rescue officials confirmed last week that 3 of the local fires from last month originated in homeless encampments. Now the San Diego Union-Tribune is reporting that police have identified a 66-year-old man they believe started the Rancho Bernardo fire. Investigators have submitted his case to the district attorney's office for review. No suspects had been identified in the Fashion Valley and UC San Diego fires. Layoffs at Legoland in Carlsbad are on the horizon. The company recently filed a WARN notice, also known as the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act. It's required when companies lay off 50 or more employees. Legoland's WARN notice says 97 employees will permanently lose their jobs starting March 25th. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more, Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.
Yesterday, California Attorney General Rob Bonta reiterated his message that California schools will continue to be a, quote, welcoming place for all. Reporter Melissa May tells us Bonta is asking anyone who witnesses what he calls concerning immigration-related activity to contact his office.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta says school officials cannot prevent federal immigration authorities from being in public places, including school parking lots and lobbies. But
if ICE shows up, the school should alert their local educational agency administrator and legal counsel immediately. They should ask to see the officer's credentials and any documentation that would authorize school access. And they should document everything that happens during the exchange.
This week, the San Diego Unified School District published a statement on the guidance it's given to staff. It reads in part, quote, school staff won't give access to U.S. immigration and customs enforcement officials without a judicial warrant. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Starting this year, California law allows involuntary psychiatric holds for people with severe substance use disorders. Health reporter Heidi DeMarco says community partners are helping meet an expected increase in demand for beds.
Father Joe's Villages opened a new sober living shelter with nearly 250 beds on January 1st.
For people who are committed to abstinence from substances and who are committed to working hard with a case manager, saving income while they're living here with us, and quickly exiting to permanent housing.
Jessie Casement is Director of Client Services. She says facilities like this are part of the solution. Changes to the state's conservatorship law mean crisis stabilization units and emergency departments will need more referral options.
One of the referral pathways that we think will be most important and that will be most frequent will be a referral from crisis stabilization units into outpatient treatments.
Dr. Luke Bergman oversees behavioral health for San Diego County. He anticipates around 1,500 additional mental health holds under the updated law this year. There are 104 detox beds countywide. Bergman says demand for beds has started off slowly this year, but they'll be watching closely to see whether more resources will be needed to keep up with demand. Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
State Farm Insurance is calling the Los Angeles wildfires the costliest disaster in its history of doing business. As a result, they fear for the future of the company and are requesting an emergency rate increase on all customers. Reporter Tanya Thorne explains what that could mean.
Following the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles, State Farm reports having received over 8,000 claims and over $1 billion in payouts to customers. The company fears these large payouts could jeopardize future claims and the future of the company itself. So they've asked California's insurance commissioner for an emergency rate increase. Investment properties could see a 22% increase in rates. Renters and condo owners face a 15% increase. And rental properties face 38%. Carmen Balber is the executive director of Consumer Watchdog, a consumer protection organization.
It's really a shame that State Farm is using this tragedy to try and extract another massive rate increase from the pockets of Californians to line its bank accounts.
She says any insurance company can request an increase in rates at any time, but must justify their request. State Farm declined to comment on their request for the rate hikes. It will be up to the insurance commissioner's office to approve and/or investigate the request. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
What do renters need to know in the event of a wildfire near their home? Gilberto Vera with the Legal Aid Society of San Diego spoke with Midday Edition host Jade Heidman to find out.
So let's say a renter is affected by a fire. What's the first thing they should do?
I think the first thing is, and just generally aside from the fire, is have a open line of communication with your landlord is really important. After the fire, one of the first things you want to do is obviously communicate with your landlord if you've been displaced as a result of an evacuation order. And then, assuming the threat has subsided, before going back into the home, if making sure it's structurally sound. The other would be, obviously, if you have renter's insurance, is make contact your insurance carrier and file a claim immediately, because not only would that claim likely be able to help you cover any personal damage to your property, but more importantly, and fulfill the most necessary and immediate need, which is help you provide for alternative housing.
Like if someone's rental unit is, say, partially damaged, what is the renter entitled to? Do they get their security deposit back or any rent waived?
So if the property's partially damaged, the tenancy is not automatically terminated, meaning the landlord still has an obligation to provide habitable housing. Maybe like the fire partially destroyed like a bathroom or a kitchen, and so you don't have bathroom facilities or cooking facilities. That might make the property uninhabitable. So if the property is uninhabitable, then the landlord still has a responsibility of providing alternative housing, and the tenant would have the responsibility of continuing to pay whatever their rental obligation is.
Now, earlier you mentioned renter's insurance. What kind of security does that provide someone in these situations?
Yeah, so it provides the immediate security of being able to provide alternative housing, and it kind of eliminates like the issue you might have with the landlord who refuses, right? Because like I mentioned, if a landlord refuses to provide you alternative housing, sure, like that violates your rights and you get a right to sue them, but that might take months, if not years. Your immediate need is housing. So that's where your renter insurance kicks in, because it can provide you immediate housing that is paid by your renter's insurance. And then lastly, obviously, it can cover your personal property damage.
Okay, so what about Section 8? How should renters with Section 8 vouchers navigate wildfire risk?
So depending on where you live, you will contact your local housing authority. Generally, you're assigned a case manager when you have a voucher, so you contact your case manager to let them know that the property, that you've been displaced as a result of the fire, because if the place is not habitable, the Section 8 program will not be paying rent to the landlord until those repairs are made.
So what are some illegal activities landlords might engage in that renters should really be on the lookout for?
Illegal evictions is one big one, right? Like situations where you're being told that you have to leave, that the tenant's being terminated, and the property's only been partially destroyed. Or situations where the landlord is saying, if you sign this paper, I'll return your security deposit and you can leave immediately. That may or may not benefit you, but that type of offer from a landlord is usually not out of the kindness of their heart and not made to benefit the tenant. So always be really mindful if the landlord is trying to get you to sign any document, because you might be unknowingly waiving very important rights.
Okay, so say a landlord does toss a bunch of papers in front of your face to sign. How can they reach out for help on that?
So, if you were trying to get assistance in the situations from Legal Aid Society San Diego, you can contact Legal Aid Society San Diego either by going to one of our 3 offices, on the phone, or on internet. We can also submit requests for assistance. Additionally, you can also try to reach out to your own attorney if you have someone you generally work with. Don't feel like you have to sign anything immediately without having been able to review it and digest and ideally talk to an attorney.
That was Gilberto Vera of San Diego's Legal Aid Society, speaking with Midday Edition host Jade Heidman. The San Diego Zoo Safari Park is celebrating Seniors Free Month. This month, guests 65 and older can access free admission to the park. To participate, just present a valid photo ID on arrival, but make sure to come prepared to pay for parking. Free admission does not include parking. That's it for the podcast today. As always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. I'm Debbie Cruz. Thanks for listening, and have a great Wednesday.
KPBS On Demand is supported by UC San Diego's Art Power, presenting cellist Joshua Roman, performing from his album Immunity, alongside music by J.S. Bach and more, Sunday, June 22nd at UC San Diego's Epstein Family Amphitheater. Reserve your tickets at artpower.ucsd.edu.